he doesn't get a qualifying offer from the Calgary Flames. So I don't think he could be the one for the Rangers, but they also let like 3 goalies go. All minor league workers still going to go with him. He's on the next turn the net back. The AHL level this season at 7 assists. The AHL level played 8 games, 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points. You'll see that in the net on the blue line for website. Gustafson's a projected, I would think, at best one line center, but they've only been the center back for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Well. The Elias Pettersson trade discourse just keeps on getting more interesting the further we get into this summer. Now, you may have seen a few days ago, we made a video talking about how New Jersey Devils center Nico Hischier could, potentially, if Nico Hischier's making 13, then maybe that makes Elias Pettersson at 11.6 not feel as bad as it feels right now. Well, in today's video, we are diving into another name that could potentially be helping out that Elias Pettersson reputation. And you already know from the title and thumbnail, it's New York's Pavel Dorofeyev. But before we get into that, we have to talk about Elias Pettersson trade talk. Because Pierre LeBrun said this on Oilers Now last week before the draft. Regarding the Pettersson and Canucks talk, teams I've discussed to who have really looked at it closely with Pettersson, these teams are struggling to view the bounce back, that the malaise in his game is not just 1 year, it scares a lot of teams. Now, I will say that the malaise in his game is not just 1 year, it's scaring a lot of teams.
It says soft, but the soft still Johnny.
Soft, baby.
Oh, what? It's best to say
Now, to that, I will say that I understand why that may be seen as a scary deal. Elias Pettersson was a 100-plus point guy who was scoring goals and making plays and passing like crazy, dangling around guys with a Gretzky/Datsyukian element to his team, who scored 100 points. Then he scored 89. The first half of his 23-24 season was another crazy good productive year, but then in the second half, once the contract talks started to really take over in the media, and once Pettersson's wrist started to feel bad, and the knee tendonitis started to begin, that's when he really stopped producing. And the second half of that 23-24 year for Pettersson was sad. And then seasons after, we saw him not live up to his contract, and JT Miller was tasked to toughen him up and push him into getting back to form, and that backfired because the Canucks told Miller, hey, just push this guy to become better, which essentially, in Miller's mind, meant bully the guy and torture the guy. And that's what happened in the locker room. And Elias Pettersson went from 102 points to 89 points to 45. His previous season, he had 51 points and more games, so he's kind of evened out. But Elias Pettersson is no longer the dynamic, dangerous offensive threat that he once was. He is more of a tentative, hesitant, defensively minded, and shot-blocking center option that's trying to get away struggle that has carried on for the better part of 2 years. Obviously, there's a reason why Pierre LeBrun says that teams are worried that the malaise in this game is not just 1 year. But at the same time, we've heard from so many other insiders that some teams, they do think they can bring Elias Pettersson back to 70, 80 point form. And if there's salary retention on a trade, maybe in the $2 or $3 million range, Pettersson at 8.6 or $9 million a year, getting 80 points a season, not bad. At least not as bad as 11.6. But with all that said, we now have a brand new name whose reputation, status, skill level, and brand new dollar amount will forever change the way we actually view the Patterson contract right now. Pavel Dorofeyev was traded from the Vegas Golden Knights over to the New York Rangers. Last year, he had 64 points in 82 games. Back-to-back 35-plus goal seasons for a guy who's only 25 right now. He's a pretty good young player, and he was always supposed to be that. When he was drafted by the Vegas Golden Knights in 2019, he was a really underrated NHL goal scorer who inevitably took talent into the VHL and skipped out of the KHL entirely. He went over to the AHL in 2021. Dorofeyev then chilled out in Henderson for a little bit, was a really great goal scorer, then went over to Vegas, and the rest was history. His career high in his season is 64 points and 37 goals. Now, mind you, he scored 12 goals in 22 games in the playoffs for Vegas, too, so he's a really great threat in the regular season and the postseason. But the New York Rangers, upon acquiring Dorofeyev, gave this guy an $11 million AAV deal by 7 years. $77 million for a guy whose career high in points is 64. That's $600,000 away from Elias Pettersson. Now, we have this article that was posted about on CanucksPomade.com, the Pavel Dorofeyev contract and its impact on value of Pettersson and other Canucks pieces. Stephen Burgett wrote this article, and I think it's a really interesting piece to dive into. Us followers of the Vancouver Canucks are a little self-centered by nature, which means a lot of us probably had a similar thought when the Dorofeyev contract was announced. Something along the lines of, well, maybe Elias Pettersson is no longer the worst NHL player with an $11 million salary. Before we get too into the weeds here, we'll acknowledge that there are some who would take Dorofeyev over Pettersson, especially in his current state. Dorofeyev is coming off consecutive seasons of 35 and 37 goals, just went to the Cup Finals, and has only completed 3 full NHL seasons. But at the same time, Dorofeyev has been criticized as a complimentary winner, one who doesn't drive much play himself, but relied on Vegas' bevy of other play-driving forwards to set up his goal-scoring opportunities. And it must be said that last season's breakout campaign only resulted in a career high of 64 points. Meanwhile, a highly disappointing 2025-26 campaign for Pettersson saw him place just 6 points behind that at 57. So even at his worst, Pettersson is about as productive as Dorofeyev at his best. Not to mention he plays a more important position, has a much stronger defensive reputation, and has a history of doing much, much more.
When Aaron gets your roster, don't start him. Try to never have this for full creative control. It makes every element editable, even if it's okay. Try Canvas Navigators today.
We're not here to compare the two, though. We're here to point out that the Dorofeyev contract almost automatically makes Pettersson's look more reasonable. Or a little less unreasonable, if you'd rather. And that can't help but have a positive impact on Pettersson's value, or really the value of anyone else if you expect to look at a trade in the near future. We also suspect this phenomenon will be occurring in the new post-flat cap era as soon as the upcoming free agent brings. Dorofeyev's contract was an RFA deal, not a UFA one, but it's probably only a preview of the enormous deals that GMs are about to hand out this summer. And that is a really interesting way to view this situation. That Dorofeyev, whilst being a genuinely lethal goal scorer on the wings, was set up by a number of guys in Vegas as he went out and he scored his goal, set him up like JT Miller, for example. I would not be surprised if Dorofeyev was able to consistently produce points, and if Miller was able to cash in on just chucking all those pucks to Dorofeyev and having him bury him every once in a while. Dare I say, Dorofeyev might be a better winger for JT Miller than Brock Besser was in that 23-24 campaign. But either way, it's another one of these names that potentially does change the way we view Elias Pettersson. Nico Hischier, if he does get $13 million a season to stay in New Jersey, Pavel Dorofeyev, an $11 million ringer who is maxed out at 64 points on a season. All this makes to look at Elias Pettersson that much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Valid. Okay. Not unreasonable. These are words that we can now start to tend towards when it comes to describing Elias Pettersson. And maybe that's not the best way to view your $11.6 million player, but I think it's the only way we can view him now, isn't it? Now this is, honestly, maybe a few years too late. But I digress. You can let me know your thoughts. Today, we are talking about Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Alexander Nikishin. A guy who, by all accounts, is a good young player. Nikishin is 24 years old, 6'3", 218, a left-handed defenseman who is on and who was drafted by the Carolina Hurricanes in a really, really nice draft position. 69th overall in the 2020 draft. Nikishin made headlines because back when he was in the KHL as the captain for SKA St. Petersburg a few years ago, he was considered the best defensive prospect outside the NHL. Maybe not named Blaine Hudson or something like that. Nikishin was in this territory where a lot of folks said, hey, it's going to be him, it's going to be Hudson, it's going to be, I guess, even toss Schaefer in there as well. These were the best young defensemen who were going to make the biggest impact in the National Hockey League by the time they made their debuts. And Alexander Nikishin came off of a season where he put up 33 points in 81 games, 11 goals, 22 assists. Not bad for a first year in the NHL, especially after making his debut with the playoffs last year in Carolina. Garden of Life. Get back to the garden.
You don't have to recycle that. That's this one. It's also just one for the Slits on Monday, one from Drive for the Giant, and one for the full-field position.
It isn't. Nikishin is still relatively young at 24, but this is a guy whose contract has actually expired already. Yeah, when you're that old and you're coming over from Russia, sometimes you don't get the full 3-4 year entry-level ELC with slide-down possibility. It's like, oh no, this guy needs a contract now. He's an RFA. The Carolina Hurricanes need to pay him. It's probably going to cost a lot because not only was he more than passable in his first NHL season, but he also wasn't really utilized all too much. You can see these games over here, 10 minutes, 14 minutes, 12 minutes, 13. There were some games where he was playing more, but he wasn't one of the top guys. And he could be. He understands talent level. But either way, the Alexander Nikishin situation has been opening up here. Darren Dreger spoke about how multiple teams have confirmed Carolina is considering a trade involving Nikishin. The 24-year-old pending RFA man had 33 points in 81 games in the regular season. Dreger said that Nikishin is an RFA, and the expectation is that there will be hefty contract demands. There's a lot of interest around the NHL, but that contract and how large it might be is also a bit of a deterrent at this stage. We've seen the Carolina Hurricanes trying to go through these money-saving moves. It's why this very Kotkaniemi's name was linked to buyout talks for quite a while. He didn't get bought out yet, at least, but still, Kotkaniemi is a guy that maybe Carolina Hurricanes to save some bucks. Which is why, when you take a look at this article that was posted by Ken Robinson on Elite Prospects, Smoke, Bugs, and Intel, what the BP crew was hearing ahead of the 2026 NHL entry draft, there was a very particular section written about Nikishin. A list of teams that are interested in this guy keeps on going. San Jose, St. Louis, LA, Anaheim, Vancouver, and Winnipeg. The number Cam has consistently heard attached to Nikishin is 8 years and $8 million annually. It appears several teams are comfortable paying that freight, but maybe not Carolina. We'll see if anyone gets there. Now, I also have to say this at the beginning. I mean, it's not the beginning of the beginning at all, but if Alexander Nikishin is actually traded by the time this video is up on YouTube, then yeah, we'll make another video, I guess, or we'll change the title into something silly on this one just to make myself look a little more like I know what I'm talking about. But my question is on the Vancouver Canucks. If they're one of the interested teams in Alexander Nikishin, I do question just how that fits in. Because Nikishin is 24 years old. Obviously, you could say, oh, well, he's 24 years old. That is a reasonably young player. That's younger than Petey, that's younger than Besser, younger than Jenko. It's younger than Rossi. By only a few months, I think. Yeah, Nikishin, October 2001. Marco Rossi, September 2001. Okay, so, yeah, Nikishin is just a tad younger than Marco Rossi. But then you gotta think about it as well. Marco Rossi is already a name that some Canucks fans are saying should be an inevitable tradable asset. Because if you're building for 5 years out, would it not be reasonable to maximize your losing window into now by giving Rossi some opportunity to be a top center, giving him that point production? And then again, you can make the same argument for Alexander Nikishin. It's why, on the Canucks subreddit, there are some folks who are going out there replying saying, hey, maybe Nikishin could come over if Patterson goes the other way. But I can't see Vancouver being in on that. It would be a mixed message. But talent is talent, I suppose. Would it be? Super young player? Seems like the Canucks would be in on that. Nikishin is going to be 25 in the new season, so not super young. You add talent when an opportunity presents itself. Treat players like liquid assets. Nikishin on an 8x8 could fetch us a great return in 3 years while he's still in his prime and the cap continues to climb. If we haven't shown meaningful improvement by then it might be a reasonable idea to give the keys to the car to Alexander Nikishin. Let him be the Vancouver Canucks' new version of Quinn Hughes, or give him this role that is mentor under Philip Hronek, allow him to prosper and develop into a number one D, and then trade him when his value is absolute cheap. Same thing with Rossi. There is a buy and sell element to this that you can kind of apply to the way you view hockey players when you're a rebuilding team. Obviously, if you're a competitive team, you're not thinking about it in this way. You're thinking about, okay, let's get Nikishin because he's good, and he's going to continue to be good, and we want good players because we want to be good and we want to compete. You can sign this guy to 8x8 because by the time the cap rises and rises and rises, and top-tier defensemen are making $12 million a year, this guy will be a steal at that dollar amount. And that's a very optimistic way to view it. I understand that Alexander Nikishin is not guaranteed to be in the Quinn Hughes level talent at the NHL level, but this guy was hyped up for so long into KHL. It's almost like, yeah, it'd be quite the shame if he didn't become, at the very least, a 70-point defenseman. Like, the expectations of the bar have been set so high for Nikishin that it
I think you'll be able to build an active just by thinking about it. communication platform. Describe what you want. And watch it take shape.
So I'm gonna be real with you. This is how my morning went. I woke up unreasonably early, and I realized that the Montreal Canadiens had traded away Brendan Gallagher. I also realized that the Vancouver Canucks, within the span of the same hour, traded Nils Hoglander to the Nashville Predators. So we made our video talking about both Galley and Hobby. It's available on the channel. You can check it out if you so please. And then I saw the trade between Anaheim Ducks and the Florida Panthers, which involved Radko Gudas. And we made the video about that too. And the entire time, while we were going on to elite prospects, looking at these numbers, looking at the statistics of the guys that got moved, in my brain I was thinking, hey, why the hell is Maximilian Zuber the #1 trending guy on elite prospects today? What does this guy have to offer, and why is he trending now? Well, it's because we actually missed out on a trade, and I didn't know about this until later in the day when I was scrolling through my Twitter posts, taking a look at what's going on. I saw Renaud Lavoie tweet out that Joshua Waugh signed a 2-way 1-year contract with the Utah Mammoth. And I was like, wait a minute, what the hell? Joshua Waugh is on the Mammoth? When did that happen? I guess the Montreal Canadiens, they didn't qualify him, and I guess he became a free agent, but I didn't think they were allowed to sign before July 1st. Today I learned. And then I realized, it was like, wait a minute, no, the Montreal Canadiens made a trade with the Utah Mammoth earlier this morning. Maximilian Zuber heads over to Montreal in exchange for Joshua Waugh. It is a 1-for-1 deal between two prospects that haven't really had their fair share of NHL time. That's it. Now, this trade, if you break it down, there's a very good reason as to why this is going down the way it is. Joshua Waugh is a player that I think a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans, in hindsight, were wrong about. 22 years old, 6 feet, 192, a left-handed guy, winger center, drafted in the 5th round by the Montreal Canadiens in the 150th overall spot. Waugh, at one point in his draft career, was seen as a top prospect to be, because he was the #1 QMJHL draft pick all the way back in 2019. He came onto the scene with all of these expectations, and he absolutely lit up the junior AAA scene in Quebec. Waugh was supposed to be Quebec's finest. And inevitably, after some years in the queue with difficulty, he ended up getting traded from his St. John Sea Dogs team over to Sherbrooke, and he ended up getting drafted in the 5th round, despite the fact that earlier on, when Joshua was like 16 years old, we thought this guy was going to be a potential first-round NHL player. That's what we thought he had in store for him. But inevitably, he got taken 5th round, and that is when the tide seemed to change. Because the very next season, Joshua went out there in Sherbrooke and posted up a 119-point campaign in 66 games. Not bad for an 18-year-old in that stage of his career. The season after, he had 99 points in 55 Sherbrooke games, and then made his Montreal Canadiens debut shortly after. 9 points in 23 games in his opening year, 2 points in 12 games a year after that, and then only 3 games in 25-26, all with the Habs. The problem was, even though Josh Waugh was a legitimately good AHL scorer, this guy just did not belong in an NHL lineup in Montreal. He's 22 years old, he's young, there's a lot of time, and Utah wants to build on that. That's the kind of player they're getting. This is a guy that knows how to slow the game down. He can play with a very reasonable pace at times. Not the best pace, but he's out there. His hands, when you give him space, you give him room to move. That's where he's able to execute. He's got pretty good hockey IQ. There's a reason why he was able to mesh so well in the World Juniors alongside of Connor Bedard. That was one of the biggest examples of Josh Waugh showing off his talent. But there were a lot of conversations throughout the years of Josh Waugh being this super highly valued guy between his extremely highly productive QMJHL year to his World Junior production. There was this discussion going around saying, hey, Montreal should trade this guy while his value is up there. Get him off the team for a first-round pick. Take the guaranteed returns because a fifth-round draft pick turning into this guy that we have with all this value and all this production, that's awesome. Capitalize on it. Top 9. And you're not going to play this guy in the fourth line. That's not really an area that he is supposed to do well at. So that's just not in the cards for him. He's not better than the 6 other winners that the Montreal Canadiens would ice out on the top 3 lines. So he's going over to Utah. We'll see how the Mammoth handle his development. And in return, the Montreal Canadiens are grabbing themselves Maximilian Zuber. 23 years old, 6'3", 201, a left-handed defenseman out of Germany and Poland. A guy who was drafted in the 6th round by the Arizona Coyotes in the 2022 NHL entry draft. And if I'm not mistaken, that makes him an overager from that year's crop of guys since he was his August 2002 birthday.
For now, you rise to a whole new level of recovery. Quality first.
Let's see that again. But Zuber was a figurehead for EHC München in the German League before coming over to North America and suiting up in some AHL games. He did get one Arizona Coyotes game in 23-24, but that was it. Other than that, it's been all AHL all the time, plus some World Championship games here and there. He didn't make the Olympic team, unfortunately, but Maximilian Zuber will add some extra depth to the Canadiens' decor long-term and most practically will help out Laval in what they are trying to do. Take a look at some of the replies over here. Does this mean a defenseman from Laval is coming up? Not necessarily. Zuber more or less takes William Trudeau's spot in Laval, who was traded last week. So I guess we will see whether or not this actually brings some NHL value for the Montreal Canadiens. People are going out there and buying his PSA 10 Young Gun Outburst cards now on social media. Josh Waugh was never going anywhere in Montreal. Another win for Ken Hughes. Maximilian Zuber is a 6'3" NHL defenseman. That's what Montreal needs right now. Not every acquisition needs to be an NHL-ready player. He slides into Laval, had size and physicality to a prospect pool, frankly needed some nastiness in the back end. A big, rangy defender who uses his range to suppress plays before they start, the kind of unglamorous depth that quietly builds a winning team in Laval. Meanwhile, the folks on the R have subreddit, they're not even talking about this trade. It happened before the Galley trade, and I totally missed it. So that's why we're going up there and talking about it now. But, yeah, Josh Waugh, I'd say that he has the more flashy story, and the way in which he came up in Montreal was always going to be noteworthy for fans over here. Zuber could be an option as a 6D man in Montreal if either Strudel or Arbo Jacka gets traded. Another reply says, we lost William Trudeau, an AHL lefty, so I assume that this acquisition is to fill that lefty hole for the AHL team. Zuber has more NHL upside than Trudeau, though more size and mobility. You can slot him in the third pairing and he'll do well. But there's no need for him to use out. There doesn't seem to be much more in Montreal unless management decides they want to move Strudel or Jacka as trade bases. So, shake the scenery trade for both guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this other deal the Montreal Canadiens pulled off with the Utah Mammoth, Maximilian Zuber, in exchange for Joshua Waugh? I hope you enjoyed this casual signing on, and bye. Upside bud! Начало, я. Какого сейчас участия? Верно, выяснить. Это я. Я скоро. И дала стихию пол.
Good day for the cruise.
Upside bud! Начало, я. Какого сейчас участия? Верно, выяснить. Это я.
Tonight, it's down to our new chickens in town.
Sam sure don't want them to be less without me.
Really, it's important that the routine vary the girls.
I thought that you put it there.
That's what it is.
That's where all the
Routine will do whatever it takes to.
What about the college reading?
I didn't think that. So you're gonna watch my girls back about that.
Guys, maybe you just gotta go talk to the guys every time you do something. Or maybe we'll offer up the information. Did every time they think about like tail on or tail on or tail off? No. I have no doubt we've been sabotaging them. Guys, I'm very worried that everybody doesn't know what they're doing.
Brad, man. Guys, what's the thing?
So I maybe make it count. Get 5 minutes.
The little blue team set us up for getting our asses kicked by Chester's later tonight. We got this, baby. We got this. What is going to happen? We're going to get it right and we're going to win.
Right, are you ready? Hell's Kitchen is moments away from opening. But again, tensions are high, and Chef Ramsay has a piece of advice to help the team succeed. Right, one pivotal word that tonight service is going to hinge on is teamwork. What's it? Teamwork. Teamwork.
This is an important service. This guy's coming back from Iraq. We gotta bring it.
Big. Open Hell's Kitchen, please. Tonight's special menu features the guest of honor's favorite foods, including stuffed mushrooms, fried catfish, and a grilled circumvert.
We'll have the second quarter belly mushroom.
He has no idea that friends and family he hasn't seen in more than 2 years are here in Hell's Kitchen.
Hey, everyone, you stepped outside to meet an absolute finest.
That was super emotional. Seeing him come in is just special.
He looked very surprised. I got a little teary-eyed during that.
On behalf of all of us here at Hell's Kitchen, it's an absolute honor to welcome you home. Cheers. Excellent. This room is filled with friends and families. But we do have one more surprise. This party would not be complete without a VIP guest. I haven't seen this individual in years. Please welcome. Hip hop.
Stan, his oldest boy, and he saw how proud he was. His dad's a hero.
Here we go, guys. Yes, all the challenge. You get a privilege of cooking. So start an open game. Level 6. 40 times 3 cocktails. Entree. Sushi burger. 4 meals. 3. Get them on now. Yeah. 4 salads. 3 shrimp. You get 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You got it. Ready to take it out. Make sure this marine has good alcohol. 4 seasons. Where's the chicken? Wait a minute, chef. So please. Keep it going, yeah?
It was so sad. It's just like, whoa, isn't it good? And it's also looking forward to the teams.
Ben and Andy are advancing quickly on appetizers. Meanwhile, in the red kitchen, Sabrina is on the front line.
Mushrooms ranch salad.
Where's the chicken salad?
Right here, chef, right here. Cheese and mushroom. I need one more. Yes, it's coming, chef. Now.
Where's the mushroom?
Coming now.
Oh, come on. Send it. Come back on that, yeah? 3679, 2 mushrooms. 1 Caesar. Come back to the mushroom, yeah? Let's go. Where's the mushroom?
No, where's the mushroom? It's coming right here.
Oh, for God's sake. Fucking so cold. What are you doing? Just touch that there. It's hot. Oh, really? Fuck.
Yes, chef.
Send in the 2 then. What are you doing now? I'm going to get ready for stupid now. I fucking trusted you there for 1 second. Come on, man. I'm going to get screwed.
Yes, chef.
2 fucking piping hot mushrooms. 1 stone cold. Shit.
One mushroom, any other salad?
That's just not a good start. We haven't won a dinner service, so we can't lose anymore.
One mushroom coming now, chef.
Where's the mushroom?
Right here, chef.
Thank you very much. The women have finally managed to serve appetizers to their first table. Front right here. Meanwhile, in the blue kitchen, I have gotten my last 2 here. The men, table 66, have completed all of their appetizers. That's it. Board is clear. Okay, great. Because we're done with the blue diners enjoying their first course. It's now up to Jim on the grill station to keep up the momentum. Listen up. Meal trick 2 weeks well done. Yeah, that's it. Hey, Jim, make sure you keep an account on your steaks until I'm more popular than we thought it was going to be. Yes, sir. After that, 5 York strip, 1 man. Hey, fully normal.
As soon as the first 4 states came in, and then another 5 behind that. So this is the game we're playing tonight. It's Steak-O-Rama here in Hell's Kitchen. So I'm going to kind of be your backup here. Yes, all the tickets are coming in, and Jim's getting just bomb. I'm a little bit further. But I will bail him up. I'm the fucking man.
Hey, 5 York strip, how long? He doesn't even answer me. Who's counting it down, Jim?
5 minutes, chef. 5 minutes.
Jim. He's just up. I'm not switched up. What's going next?
Right now,
1 there, 4 take back. Just 1 there back. No, stop. Stop. You blow someone. What is it? I don't think it's on the sound. 4 in round, 1 round.
When people get all fucked up like this, tools, I sit back and I know I can bail them up. So it makes me put my hair up.
Kevin, tell Jim what's going on.
that's it, chef.
Thank you very much.
This is fun.
Tell Sergeant James, come on. Yes, sir. 12, 60 first, yes? Start Sergeant James. Go it, please.
Don't take her again.
The guest of honor is to lead with this meal. In the red kitchen. Go, please. Sabrina and Amanda have finally completed their appetizers.
Here's the awesome.
Now, the pressure's on Ted on the grill station to get out the entrees. 50 York strip, 1 chicken. Sound up. Let's go.
Make the order. The better so we need 4 more.
I know, I'm going to do just chill for a second.
This is my station, and I know what I'm doing. So, back off.
Stand by, yes? Awaits only 5 New York strip, 1 chicken. Looking on to the next.
Five chips coming up
I
now.
want to got my back here.
Five chips, 1 chicken, you're walking up now.
Let's do this. Where's the strip? Tech! That's still blue in there. It's touch that on top there. Touch. Come on. Touch it, you hands. Touch.
Get up in the other now.
Fingers are getting right fluid. It's blue. Moving up more.
Yeah, I want to say
These are flatters, okay? These are thinner.
there were like 5 people working a one-person station. I'm like, I know how to cook. I'm not a fucking dumbass.
Unfortunately, there are numerous hot places going around. Our woman going to the oven. I got a 500-degree oven back here. Here, the bottom of the grill to put your food to. The grill has a purpose in there. The purpose is to mark your food and then finish it in the oven.
Where's the steaks?
I don't need the steak.
Down at that. I am fucking so upset. That's like you could have what they call it. How can I serve that at the same table? Say!
Yeah, chef.
I'm so embarrassed. What's the matter with you, madam? Half the time you've got their own space. You don't understand the spirit.
I'm more of a game, but just need to back it up. $6 off.
This may not be full for you, madam. Take 11. This is fucking serious, and you're shit. Just pay the fucking lot, man, when you get out of my sight.
Why? I need that.
All I'm saying is, Martin said, just go down there real quick. Listen.
How long is that steak gonna take? 2 minutes from then. Come back to how long? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Start cooking all those meat. Cook it. Just make sure the inside doesn't get burned.
When there's 9 people like yelling and grabbing things, you know, it's hard to maintain your focus. It's just frustrating.
While the women try to move cat-handed steaks along, the men are successfully sending out entrees. Two chickens, one bag. But one member of the blue team is still worried. Dave, you're gonna get going now. Get a pan in the oven. I don't consider David's hand. Can I pump them off for you? No, dude. Chill. I got it. Jesus. You're freaking me out, man. Dude, I appreciate your help, but I got it. You know what I'm saying? I have my routine. Get the fuck off my station, dude. Because I know what I'm doing. I'll sit there fucking up that you can get on my balls. With Dave single-handedly delivering another entree to the pass. Amazing. Diners on the blue side are enjoying their food. Meanwhile, not a single diner on the red side has received an entree. Come on, you're gonna hurry up, lady.
Yes, chef.
Bring it in one burger now. Hey, what's the
I got the burger working right now, chef.
and she's putting it on.
Yes, chef.
Good God.
Be the best.
Hey, you lady.
Yes, chef.
Come here. What are you doing? You're even with me.
Yes, I am, chef. I didn't hear the burger order. I'm sorry.
Check it out.
Chef, okay. Thank you, chef. Come on, guys. I got this. I really can't believe just how many cabinets and now anything. Dad, you something.
While Zach starts over on the first entrees, in the blue kitchen, it's Jim who's getting grilled. Hey, Jim, touch with your fingers. You got control of your fingers. Yes, yeah, there we go. They're ready. Look at my shadow. You're stabbing it. You don't perform with appendicitis when you talk. Yes, yeah. How many of the sticks? Can I go? There's one guy right there tonight. The fucking camera's down behind him. Right behind you. Come on down, gentlemen.
Chef Ramsay seems to pick on Jim, but I think Jim did a great job.
Guys, I need to try another. Behind. Come on. I got it. Right behind. Come on.
Already on it, already doing it.
That's it, governor. Let's go.
I appreciate him under control, but I was being short changed on the credit
Say right now.
because everyone's there. Looks like Superman.
I'll take it. With Kevin's help, Jim managed to send out the blue team's final entree.
Hey guys, I need to start playing.
In the red kitchen, Tech's first entrees are finally ready to go. Let's go. But a crucial element of the surf and turf,
Where's the lobster?
is missing in action.
Where's the lobster?
Right here, chef. I saw Tuck in a panic, so I just took over. I just wanted to get food out.
Come on. This is not possible. Come here.
It's not my fault.
This is not fucking possible. This cannot be true. What is that there?
This is...
Yes, fucking wrong.
Come on, Amanda. All you have to do is put a lobster on the grill.
Make sure the guitar, the bass, they send it up. All you had to do.
It's a fucking restaurant, not a sushi bar. How can you get confused with a raw fucking good lobster? I don't know where to go. I can't even tell you look at the dining room, so it's fucking embarrassed. This is still your first table. That's their now. Fuck it off. We have them stairs and look at It's an hour and a half into the homecoming party, and unbelievably, out of the red diners, I've received an entree. Stupid cows! Oh, fucking hell. I am just finished. Dessert chef. Dessert. Hold on, be finished. Yes, chef. I just feel like it's a thing with this thing. Yes, chef. Oh, it's got the easy salt and moon. What is happening? I'll let you know. 2 bananas, 3 meals, 2 chickens, 1 catfish. Yes, chef. That's right. I can hear it. It's the bitch's crying. No, I'm good.
There was just absolutely just everywhere. Kitchen apocalypse. Like hand grenades right off the cow's ass.
Well, done, yeah, let's go. Now that the men have taken over the Red Kitchen, entrees are finally making their way out to the dining room.
2 minutes. The girls seeing how to complete collapse of the system.
I'll take it. Let's go. Tell me, please.
We went over to the phone. That's it.
With Kevin finishing up the search for the Blue Kitchen and the rest of the men completing the Red Cheese tickets. The entire dining room has finally been served. Gentlemen, thank you. Fuck off the kitchen. Yes, yeah, ladies.
Yes, yes, yes.
That was no fucking hero's welcome. That was the best thing I'd expect.
Yes, sir.
Stay down.
Oh, it's so nice. About and I don't want to dog my team, but they can't work with me people.
Tonight's dinner service was another high point in Hell's Kitchen. And actually, you guys have enjoyed it. But only one team rose to the occasion. Smith, you saved the evening. Thank you. Ladies, that was crap. All you even sent one entree. The men have completed every entree. And they're half Indian. All on to tell, blue states. No teamwork, no communication, and just a complete meltdown. I was dying there. You guys are slipping apart. Hold the meeting now and face on everything that you've witnessed, not just tonight, but every service so far in Hell's Kitchen. And think hard about which two women you want to drop from your team. Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
It's unbelievable.
I want to make Seattle a team players want to come to, so I'm going to make that happen. Ivers playing my around here, that's good.
In this video, I'm going to share 20 tips that I was trying to use before I started playing Skype. Hopefully these tips will help you new players get an absolute no practice impression and will avoid making some of the same mistakes. Anyway, that's last method. Tip number 1 is to save often and to use multiple save files. Skyrim only auto saves at certain points, like when you're entering new areas or when you sleep, which means that while exploring the open world and not transitioning between areas, you can go through various lost times of animal tips of the third, which means there's the potential for these hours of progress to be done. I also mentioned you can use multiple save files, and the reason for this is file corruption or some sort of unexpected event that will to save file. So, adding multiple save files ensures that you always reload without
Fuck, he's over a point per game already. Shit, nice. I'll take that shit.
Explore everywhere, everything, and everyone. Skyrim is a game that's built for exploration. Don't just sprint from one quest after another. Instead, venture off the road, discover hidden caves, woods, and road in the world such as in Skyrim is going to revolve to new locations, random events, and treasures that couldn't be missed by this fast traveling everywhere in blind pursuit of the next quest objectives. Some of the most memorable adventures happen in this game where you stray from the beaten path and see what the world has lost. In particular, it's worth
Strong game right there. Strong game.
Don't hesitate to invest in it, because clearly dungeons in this game can be incredibly rewarding. Not only will you find valuable loot, but find really various things.
Fuck, they played a strong name down there too.
Really good way to level up and get your hands on some decent gear.
This could be time to make my first race soon.
And have those in level 1 stay frequently while tackling a large dungeon. That's a big good chance to get an experience of depths. Still on the theme of exploration, and tip number 4 is to use fast travel sparingly. At least that's good. While you can fast travel to any location with your circumstance, it's a good idea not to do it, especially in the early stages of this game. Traveling on foot or in fact, and giving potential on the effect, NPCs accidentally browsing opportunities, and for the previous game. Basically, if you need to travel between two cities and you haven't yet made that trip on foot, then I'd recommend that you do so, as you'll undoubtedly encounter something interesting along the way. Of course, if you've made this trip before, then backtracking is going to become a bit easier, and it's good fast travel becomes a great problem. Of course, you don't actually have to walk, as buying the horse in the early game can make overland travel quicker and safer. You can purchase one from the Wyvern stable very early in the game, or in fact from any other major city stable. Horses is great for enabling the exploration mentioned previously, but the magic isn't quite so long as it does on foot. And an additional benefit is that if you get into trouble, it's far easier to escape on a horse than it is like running. If you can't afford a horse, you should consider borrowing one, and by borrowing and stealing, as stealing a horse in the wild or at a stage will let you ride as a companion. But I wouldn't advise it, and if you steal from a stable, you can be arrested by the guards and sent to a city, and stolen horses won't return to the dismanaging, so it's likely. Tip number 6 is to progress the main quest at least to the point that you unlock the Dragonstone. While you have the freedom to go pretty much anywhere in the second you destroy the encounter, which is one of the greatest things about Skyrim, I think, I'd consider following the main storyline at least after the point you make your first visit to the Dragon, which happens pretty early on in the main story. This will give you your first Dragonstone, and also allow you to unlock further chance during the adventure. Dragons don't have particularly powerful abilities that are absolutely worth having. And they're also a big part of the Skyrim Dragon Ball team. So it's nice to have them from an RPG played on the spectrum as well, provided you remember to actually use them. I say this because I've pretty much got this skills built up. Sticking with the questing theme, tip number 7 is don't ignore side quests. Some of Skyrim's best content is off the main story. Like I said previously, talk to NPCs wherever you go. Many of them are going to ask you side quests that explain stories of the world, and they're often far better than the main quest itself. Whether it's helping locals with problems or exploring a random cave in a river, I've got like every side quest as well. They enrich the game's story and can lead to some unique items, new shack abilities, and they can even unlock entirely new features such as the ability